Good afternoon, YouTube. Last week I forgot to put out chapter 2, so in this recording I'm going to put out chapters 2 and 3. Apologies if you hear odd noises in the background. I'm hungry. I had an orange though, so hopefully that should help. Anyways, let's begin. Chapter 2. At last, Pip was able to put a name to these memories of his rescuer. I can't believe it. My memories, those flashes, it was all real, he screamed in delight. Before he could celebrate, however, the sound of a bell ringing pierced the air. Temple froze, an expression of fear in his eyes. Pip's eyes widened, now in worry. His ears perked up. What's wrong? He asked, heart starting to beat faster. Temple looked down at Pip. It's the Elder. We have to go now. He fastened the bridle over Skip's muzzle, draping the saddle over his back. He held out a hand toward Pip. Come with me, kid, he coaxed. Pip took his savior's hand, where he was thrust onto the back of the horse. The stable elf opened the gate, and the next thing he knew, they were thundering toward the village at lightning speed. As they galloped through the landscape, a large towering mushroom became visible up ahead. Several of the villagers had already gathered in front of it. Pip, noticing members of the orphanage, including Mrs. Damocles in the crowd, shivered with unease. Temple seemed to notice Pip's discomfort and tucked him under the jacket of his tunic. He looked up at the balcony of the castle. A tall, elegant, elvish woman stood there looking distraught. Temple, noticing Pip's curiosity, smiled. That's the Queen, he explained in a hushed voice. The Queen then spoke, her voice shaky yet delicate. As some of you may not be aware, my father, and the only living elder, Garmon, has been ill for quite some time. Only recently, his condition has dramatically worsened. A wave of gasps ran through the crowd. Another recent event has also occurred, that being the damaging of our power source by our enemies, the Chimera. However, my father is the only one able to repair it. Another wave of gasps. He's confined to his bed and has now requested the presence of the warriors at his bedside at this very moment. May all our warriors step forward. Temple and the other warriors trotted forward on their horses. The Queen continued, Please dismount your horses and come up to the palace steps. Temple did exactly as she requested, stepping off of Skip, petting his muzzle reassuringly, before coming up the steps, Pip still safely hidden in his tunic. When they reached the elder's room, they noticed him laying in the bed, looking weary and exhausted. The Queen looked at Temple. Sir Temple, please step forward. He did so, finally allowing Pip to see the elder. Upon seeing Pip and Temple, Garmon's entire demeanor changed. With a trembling, bony hand, he grasped Temple's tunic, fingers brushing against Pip's ear. Temple, find her. Confused, he tilted his head. Who, your wife? Garmon, she died years ago, he explained, a shake of the head from Garmon. No, not my wife. Her. The savior, he croaked. Temple looked to the nurse, confused. She shrugged. He's completely lost his marbles. Now he only babbles nonsense, something about a savior in an enemy kingdom. Garmon nodded weakly. Temple had to humor the old man. What is her name? He asked, a serious expression on his face. Marigold, he croaked. She's a fairy, and she's in the Chimera's kingdom. Pip poked his head out. There are enemies, he noted. Garmon shook his head again. I'm aware, my boy, and it's a dangerous journey, which is why I'm sending you to find her. Pip's eyes widened again. Me? Why me? Garmon gave a weak chuckle. You, Pip, are my grandson. Pip could not believe what he was hearing. What? What do you mean? You see, I had a son. He was married to the princess from a separate kingdom, and the princess became my daughter-in-law. She became pregnant with a son. You. However, before you were born, my son tragically died at the hands of a chimera. She was devastated, and when you were born, she died in childbirth. Before she died, she placed you in your cradle and left you on the side of a river. Pip's heart pounded at this information. You mean, he asked, unable to finish his sentence. Temple finished it for him. That's right, Pip. You're his grandson. Pip could not believe this. All along he thought he was simply a poor, small orphan, but here he was, the grandson of the only living elder. Garmon spoke once more, his voice incredibly weak, and I could only send someone I knew would find Marigold. I chose you as my heir, he croaked. His eyes closed as he took in a few raspy breaths. Temple looked worried. But How do you know I'll find her? Pip asked. Grandma didn't reply right away, but he finally rasped out a reply. I know you, Pip. You're strong, resilient, and want to do good. That's all anyone can ask for. Pip held his breath, then grasped the elder's hand. I'll find her. I promise. He nodded weakly, so weak you could barely tell he moved at all. Find her. For me. And with that, his eyes closed and didn't open again. Temple's eyes widened in shock. Is he asked, unable to finish. He already knew the answer. The moment the nurse pulled the velvet duvet over his face, he knew. His eyes welled with tears. He swallowed hard and looked down at Pip. We have to carry out his dying wish, Pip whispered. Temple nodded, and they went back down to the ground to meet a now somber Skip. He let out a sad whinny. I know, boy. I know, Temple sniffed, rubbing the horse's muzzle for comfort. The Queen returned to the balcony. Everyone, it is with a heavy heart that I announce the last living elder is... Temple held his breath. He knew it was coming, but it still hurt to hear. Our last living elder is... dead. Chapter 3. The funeral was the following day. The coffin, constructed from beautiful polished wood, painted a royal purple, was lowered into the ground behind the castle and covered with flowers. Everyone was dressed in black dresses and suits. Temple held Pip close to his chest as the pair cried together. It was truly a somber affair. Just as the honorary banquet started, the ground began to shudder and shake. Everyone gasped. An earthquake? But those were exceedingly rare. Then the Queen rushed in. The power source is collapsing! Where is Pip? She cried. Temple ran toward her, holding the tiny elf. Pieces of wood were beginning to fall. Then a whoosh echoed through the building, and another thump rang through the ground, shaking their tiny bodies like jello on a table. The sound of shattering glass was heard. A glimpse of fur and wings was seen through the opening. It's the Chimera! Temple yelled as the beast roared, causing the others to scream in terror. The fear in the air was palpable. Mount your horses, warriors! He commanded. Yes, sir! The other warriors shouted, running toward the stables to mount their valiant steeds. The sounds of lions roaring, horses galloping, and wings beating filled the atmosphere. Villagers ducked and hid, holding each other in terror. A chimera flew over the village, lion head roaring and goat head bleeding, serpent tail flicking and snapping at the air while the lion huffed a thick plume of flames over the small community. Smoke began to fill the air as mushroom houses burned. Temple pulled out his sword and galloped toward the chimera, attempting to slash its wing. Skip whinnied in terror. Yeah! Temple whooped as he snapped the reins, trying to get Skip to continue running. All the while, Pip clung to the warrior's back, fear pulsing through his blood. Temple swung his sword at the beast as it roared at him. The blade plunged into the beast's wings, spraying golden blood onto the smoking grass. The chimera screeched in agony, causing Skip to rear upward. Despite the pulling of his reins, Temple and Pip flew backward onto the ground, Skip charging into the night. Skip, come back! He yelled, though not out of anger. Pip tried to pick himself up, but his little legs wobbled. Upon glancing around and getting his bearings, he saw Temple, laying on his stomach on the ground. He ran toward his mentor, kneeling beside him. Temple! He cried, pushing against his side, trying to get him up. Pip, he croaked. Are you okay? What happened? He asked frantically, looking for any injuries. The poor man seemed okay, but he wasn't sure. Wind knocked out of me, he groaned. Pip grabbed his hand, attempting to drag him away toward the woods, where they'd be safe from the beasts. He grunted with the effort, unable to move the injured warrior. Galloping was once again heard, but now it was coming closer. Pip looked up. White mane, butterscotch hide. Skip! Skip pushed his muzzle against Temple, who sucked in a breath, shakily getting to his feet before hobbling onto his waiting horse. At long last, the pair galloped off to the side. We need a place to hide! Pip called over the roars and sizzling of flames. Temple scanned the hazy landscape with his eyes, noticing a section of the now burning stables that was now charred, making a hiding place in the form of a pile of wood. The three huddled beneath the wood, hearing the burning outside. The smell and taste of smoke and haze, the burning in their eyes, and the heat against their faces was their only company for a long time. At long last, a final roar rang through, and the beating of wings faded into the distance. The trio crawled out from the wreckage, eyes widening at the sight before them. Blood. There was blood everywhere. Gold, red, everywhere. The smell of smoky mushrooms filled Pip's nostrils as he saw the houses crumbling to the ground. The haze of smoke blanketed the air, snuffing out the sun, making it look like the ball of fire had risen on a foggy day. Glass, wood, memories, security, all of it was burning, melting, merging into the ground. Civilians either crawled out of the wreckage or lay there, unmoving. Whether they were dead or simply unconscious, Pip couldn't tell. He shivered, eyes struggling to take it all in. But what hurt him the most was seeing the broken palace. The base of the once beautiful palace had crumbled away, revealing the power source. The orb was weak, sputtering, its surface cracked and spidering like an embryo inside an egg. Its color had faded from a bright, burning orange to a flickering, pale green. He couldn't believe it. Why? Why had they invaded? Why had they gone after their source of power? As he stood there, taking everything in, he looked to Temple. "The orb doesn't have much time left," he whispered. "We have to find Marigold. And soon." Hi everyone, it's TavyGamer404. Those were chapters 2 and 3 of The Legend of Pip. We really got some lore in chapter 2. So now the adventure is about to get started for real. Thankfully my stomach did not interrupt. I guess that orange did something. But, thank you guys for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Dislike if you dislike it. Anyways, TavyGamer404 out. Peace.